Hi, Gayatri. Thank you so much for the invite.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramniji, and also Kranti Garu for passionately sharing your views so far. I'm really thrilled, and at this moment, I'm telling myself that I should not get nostalgic and I should not get emotional. Approach this conversation with the objectivity and rationality that George Reddy expects of us. So that's what I'm telling myself. Um, like as I've been hearing Ramani Garu and also Kranti ji as to um, about youth entering politics. The one thing that has stuck my mind and I want to share immediately is it's not youth entering into politics per se. Politics is all around us, right? Politics is a deep personal activity. If we decide to respond to a maid being paid unjust wage, that is a political action. If we decide to respond to maybe a woman being beaten on the street, that's a political action we choose to take up. If we decide to stand up for our fellow young girls in the college and against sexual harassment, that's a political action. So politics and personal are never separate. Political sphere is just an extension of who we are as a person, the deepest values and the reflections that we hold within us. And the discipline and the strength to which we inculcate that spirit, nurture that spirit within us is how it reflects in the outer space. I've read this beautiful write-up shared by Kranti, and I think that's shared by Ramaniji because it discussed that pedal as to how you have traveled all the way from Hyderabad to Warangal. Look at these beautiful lines which George Eddy has shared. Our relations in society have to some extent already begun to be established before we are in a position to even determine them. That's what Karl Marx says in the reflection of young men. So we think that we have to enter politics, we have to get into a political party, we have to begin a political journey. But somehow, by the little decisions that we make, the little actions that we choose to do at a particular moment, the little words that we speak, we have begun a political journey somehow, and things start to fall around. And who knows, we may be doing a bigger political activity sometime, or we may never end up doing a bigger political activity, or for that matter, become a prime minister, but we may end up influencing politics in a very substantial way and contributing to the society in a very influential way. So from the little journey that I had, I was a software engineer who later entered media. I'm just about to enter political consultancy. I worked with TV9 for the last 1 year. In the little journey that I had over the last 7 to 8 years of being in a public sphere from a deep private sphere, what I've understood is that all I did is do the little things. Just that. Very, very little actions. And they have contributed in a very little way, in a very minuscule way, to whosoever is involved in the situation. Maybe speaking up for domestic violence in one of our neighborhoods. That is one incident I could recollect. Maybe standing up for young girls who are fighting for Kamala Nehru College, Polytechnic College, which is something I could think of. Standing up against black magic in a remote district in Karimnagar, in Karimnagar, remote village in Karimnagar. So very little action, but they have culminated in giving me opportunities to meet different people in life, to maybe contribute at different capacities in life, also maybe to put forward my ideas on bigger platforms. So what I have realized is this: personal is political, and never to separate the two. But why is this separation coming? While Ramaniji is discussing, examples across the world, I was feeling a deep anguish within me. It's like, no, this cannot happen in India. We are looking at prime ministers who are 60 years old, 70 years old, and we're debating if a 60-year-old prime minister can continue to be a prime minister in his 70s, right? So we are debating that. So why have we reached this stage? Where are we lost in the process? I think the separation between personal, political, and education has started at a very early age. Somehow, unfortunately, most of us are groomed to be engineers, or groomed to be doctors, or groomed to be economists, or groomed to be journalists. We are groomed for a profession, we're not groomed to be citizens. Unfortunately, we lost the flair for multidisciplinary approach to life. If you just look at George Reddy's life, he's a physicist by profession, right? If you look at his career, if you call resume, his resume calls him a physicist. But the man is deeply political. He has a substantial awareness of history, a thorough command on society. He was able to navigate through complex social debates with elan and also with lots of poise. He could make friends across, across parties. He could build a movement. He could organize people. None of these are taught in physics class per se. That's what nuclear physics teaches us. Right? That is the essence of nuclear fusion, right? Once the critical mass is built, it sets off something which later explodes. If we are able to experience our subjects in a way that it connects to us at a very deeper level, then the bridges between science, mathematics, and also maybe social sciences, humanities, all of this just disappears. We reach a very supreme state of appreciating society, social issues, and social debates. Unfortunately, that touch and flair for education has been lost. So, on this day, if I could really make a wish, and if this really something called angels blessing us at this time, I only wish that, we all collectively work towards an education or a state of education where our youngsters can feel that the purpose of education is not for working, and there is certainly something to physics or to mathematics beyond exactly solving problems and discovering the solutions of the cosmic universe, but there's also an extension of that in our immediate surroundings. If we can get back into touch with real life, I think then we can all touch a powerhouse within us. And how do we do that? That's another big question. How do we do it? At a policy level, several people are working. People are brainstorming as to how we change Indian education landscape and make people realize the highest potential. That's for another debate. We can have a relaxed webinar on that. But at least on George Reddy's birthday, I think we can at least discuss this point of discipline, personal discipline. Having questions is one thing, but having the discipline to pursue answers to them is something we can learn from it. So, as I was reading Ramaniji's write up on George Reddy and another book shared by Kranti, I realized this man has lots of discipline. He dedicated time to read, he dedicated time to debate on those readings, and then he dedicated time to read beyond his immediate subject. So, he was multidisciplinary in his approach. He read so many subjects, he debated on them, he built his own worldview. He worked on his physical strength, right? He had a routine. So many things that we can learn from him. So if we can just pick up a bit of discipline, commit to learning, commit back to personal well-being, and as an extension of this learning and well-being, reciprocate some things into society, at least in the immediate circle that we have, I think we can set off a political storm. If thousands of us just start doing this on a daily basis, I cannot imagine what India can be maybe 10 years from now. It's not a big deal, right? A prime minister in 40s is certainly not a big deal for a 1.2 billion big nation. So it shouldn't be an issue that we be debating and worrying about at this moment. But unfortunately, now that it has become one, what can we do in our individual personal capacity? I think discipline, flair for life, passionately enjoying education and extending the knowledge of education into the immediate surroundings, and then taking it up from there, things will fall in place. Maybe we'll build networks, we'll meet intelligent people, like-minded people, start working on little issues. Who knows which issue may pick up sometime and then become a national hero or maybe the Prime Minister of India. So don't plan to become Prime Minister of India, but rather solve immediate problems right in front of you. Then we'll culminate in something bigger. So that's all I could think of at the moment without really getting nostalgic about George Reddy, because I fell in love with him the moment I watched the film. I can't tell you. So I should thank the filmmakers also, because the way they characterized, the way they've shown the strength and the tenacity and the intellect of the personality was so powerful. I could not get over the character, and I'm really grateful that I got a chance to speak about him. This is, in a way, a moment for me to convey my gratitude to a superhero whom we missed in our generation. But I think we should not miss him. We should all be George Reddy's. And thank you so much, Ramaniji, Krantiji, and also Gayatri, for giving me this opportunity to meet you all and have a conversation this evening. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your valuable views.